Hari Om and welcome back. The topic for today's session, the current session, is Nirguna and Saguna Brahman in Advaita Vedanta. For this session, we have the Chairperson, Swami Padmanabhananda, and Professor K. Srinivasan is the speaker. May I request Swamiji and Professor K. Srinivasan to kindly come onto the stage. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome and to introduce Sri Swami Padmanabhananda today. Swami Padmanabhananda is a disciple of Brahmaleen Param Puja Sri Swami Chidananji Maharaj, past President, Divine Life Society, Headquarters. Swami Padmanabhananda was an engineer in the government of Kerala. He renounced his career and took his life to renunciation to qualify himself for ministering to the soul of man. He studied Vedanta in an authentic style on the banks of Kaveri River in Tamil Nadu. Swamiji is a scholar in Vedic scriptures, Puranic texts. His deep knowledge and lucid explanation of Srimad Bhagavata, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Narad Bhakti Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and other scriptural texts has made him a very popular guide to the spiritual aspirants. Swamiji is doing his seva to his master as the General Secretary of Divine Life Society at the headquarters, Shivananada Nagar and Rishikesh. A senior monk of Divine Life Society, Swamiji continues to work rigorously and to spread the Divine Life Gospel, summed up by the Grand Master, Sri Swami Shivananji Maharaj, in just 6 words: serve, love, give, purify, meditate, and realize. I welcome you, Swamiji.
And it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Professor K. Srinivasan, who is the speaker for this session. Professor Srinivasan is currently Associate Professor and Head of Department of Sanskrit and retired Principal at the Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda College in Chennai. The Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda College is also his alma mater, where he studied Sanskrit for his undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. He completed his PhD in Vedanta from Madras University and holds the prestigious title of Shiromani in Mimamsa and Vedanta. His areas of specialization are Mimamsa, Vedanta, Alankara, and Sahitya. He is a widely respected professor in his field and has authored books such as Bhaktamara Darshan and a translation of Tatvanusandhana by Mahadevananda Saraswati ji. Now, I humbly request Swami Padmanabhananda to introduce the topic.
Om. 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 Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Gungurubhyo Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kabinam Upamashavastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranmanu Udipisi Dasadanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Shantatmanam Pranadasulabham Siddhavidya Prabhavam Bhaswadrupam Sugunanilayam Dvastakarmadivargam Prajnavriddham Nijasamadrisham Taradam Tyagivaryam Sakshad Isham Mama Guruvaram Shivanandam Natosmi. Shivanandam Natosmi. My humble prostrations to Paramapuja Swami Chinmayanandaji Maharaj, at whose feet I sat for quite some time in my early days. My humble prostrations to the galaxy of sannyasins here and the very eminent scholars I'm very happy to be in this program, part of this program, and to share some of my thoughts with you. So, anyone who study the scriptures, they will have certain basic doubts, especially the Advaita Vedanta. They will have certain doubts because the Shastras give various pictures. And there are a lot of books. Nowadays, the modern day, it is much more difficult because we have a lot of books, a lot of acharyas, and it's available in different sources. So there are certain basic issues which the student has to be clear about. So if you, with regard to the nature of reality, there are number of statements which are seemingly apparent, seemingly contradicting to each other. So the Veda says, Ekam Sadhu Vipra Bhuta Vadanti is very often quoted. Bhagavan Vyasa also says in this, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmedi paramatmedi bhagavan iti shabdyate. So in this Bhagavad he says like that. So in the Vedas, in the Rig Veda itself it says like this. Then in the Rig Veda we come across this, the Purusha Sukta. There it says, Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. He encompasses the entire cosmos and stands 10 inches above that. Then there is the Narayana Sukta which says the ultimate reality is Narayana. Then there is the Hiranyagarbha Sukta which says the Creator encompasses all things. Then you come to the Ayurveda. The very oft quoted mantra is the Rudri. There it says it is Shiva. And that Shiva is Namo Jeshtaya cha Kanishtaya cha Namo Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha Namo Madhyamaya cha Bhagalpaya cha. So it says it is the high and the low. All the contradictions are told that it is this and it is just opposite that. At the same time, we find that there are certain pithy statements also. Even Bhagavan Shankaracharya, there's many referred the Gita commentaries here. In the opening of the Gita Bhashya, he says, Tadidam Gita Shastram Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Durvikneyartham. That Gita Shastra, he says, it is very difficult to comprehend. And then, why? Because Atyanta Viruddha Aneka Arthatvena Laukikehi Grashyamanam Upalabhya Aham Vivekataha Artha Nirdharanartham Samkshepataha Vivaranam Kajishyami. So it has been, even those days, there was so much commentaries about that. And there is people, an ordinary layman will not be able to understand. So, but at the same time we find there is a statement in the Rudri itself that says it is not that difficult to understand. The realization of that supreme reality is not that difficult, it is very easy. Say, Utainam Gopa Adrishan Udaharyaha. Gopaha, even the lame men understood that. Not only men, even the women could comprehend it. So, it is one side it is mentioned as differently, it is diversely mentioned. And the other side it is said that it is very simple to understand. Anyone can understand like that. So I am very happy that I don't want to go into the subject because already a speaker, a learned speaker is there. I am very much associated with Ramakrishna Mission earlier days. And then Tapasyan Swamiji was very well known to me also. Anna also known to me. And then a learned speaker is there. He will be presenting that, and if time permits, I will speak little about that. And I am very happy that the Chinmaya Mission has rightly organized this seminar on these various topics, Jagata, Ishvara, Brahma, etc. And this is a great service you are doing to Swami Chinmayanji Maharaj, because all his life he was passionate to disseminate this knowledge. With these few words, I request our learned speaker to take over the dais.
यस्य प्रसादात् मूकोऽपि वावदूकोऽभिजायते भाष्य भावज्ञ विख्यातः सद्गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् पंडितानां च राजानं शास्त्रे रत्नाकरोपमं बालपूर्वं गुरुं वन्दे सुब्रह्मण्याभिधं मुदा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं. Pranams to the chairman, and I offer my salutations to all the monks here and all the vidwans and prospective vidwans too. And I thank the organizers and the professors who have zeroed in on me to speak on this topic, Saguna and Nirguna. Sri Harsha, in his Ratnavali, while introducing the topic, introduces beautifully. That is, that there is a tradition in the Sanskrit dramas. When they start the drama, they have to introduce the troupe, the sponsor, the topic, and things like that. Sri Harsho Nipunah Kavihi, Parishada Pyesha Gunagrahini, Loke Haricha Vatsaraja Charitam, Natyecha Dakshavayam. That was a statement made by the Sutradhara in the dramas Ratnavali. Here also, exactly you find the same thing. Sri Harsho, Sri Sankara, he is considered to be, even though Dasgupta calls Vyasatirtha and Jayatirtha are the princes among the dialecticians of India, Shankara is considered to be the greatest mind of world intellect. So, as Sri Harsho Nipunah Kavihi, Parishadab, and you people, the discerning public, you are here even without what is called, say for example, when Malavika's drama was over, he says, the whole audience remained like what is called dumbfounded and as if written in a painting. So you have been grabbing each and every, not even just words, but even the punctuations also, because as has been presented previously, the intentions, they are, and the nuances, they are more important. So you are grasping. So Parishadap Yesha Gunagrahini and Loke Haricha Vatsaraja Charitam, the topic itself, that is the contribution of Advaita to present day humanity, that also is best thing. But we cannot have everything best. So, Natyecha Daksha Vayam, I leave it to you. Aparishodha, Vidusham, Nasadu Manye. Whether everything is good, whether the speaker is good, let us see. And Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram Chamatva, the topic, Jagat, Jiva and Ishvara. The Lord himself has stated these three things are important. Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram Cha in the Upanishad. And these things have been taken together and Prerita. There is always the problem in Advaita, whether the doctrine of Advaita as propounded by Shankara, not only the doctrine of Advaita, because of the, say for example, immediately as, what is called the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita as has been stated, can you just, you have got so many scriptures and things like that, can you put everything in a nutshell? Yes, pravrittischa nivrittischa, that is the entire thing. As Shankara has stated in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, everything drops down to pravritti and nivritti. So all the things are to be what is called taken into or interpreted in terms of these two things. So this being the case, now what happens? The Advaita, because of its importance, because of its emphasis on relativity, etc., even ethics is given relative importance and everything else is given to relative importance. So there is not much scope for what is called individual law-abidingness or acceptance of God or God-fearing, etc. These things will be given a go-by. That is one of the problems. So, whether that problem, can it be laid at the door of Shankara? That I wanted, that's why in the, what is called, in the abstract, I have stated the role and place assigned to Saguna Brahman in the scheme of Shankara's things. So that is the one thing, Preritaram Cha. So in the third day we take up Ishvara, and fortunately, that problem has partly been solved by the beautiful presentation of Jiva Brahma Aikya, what exactly is meant by Aikya, by what is called explaining all those things. And now, I have to take up only one or two things here. Say in Advaita, even though Advaita rejects world as Maya, not as illusion, as Maya, and even though God is said to be what is called, the creatorship is said to be the Tarastha Lakshana, and Jiva Brahma Aikya is proposed, Advaita, unlike other darshanas, proposes 6 pramanas. Though other darshanas propose only 3 pramanas, Advaita proposes 6 pramanas. What are the necessity of the 6 pramanas? Say for example, Anumana is required to prove that the world is mithya, and the Upamana is required to say that the God is like nothing and unlike everything, and Arthapati is required to prove what is called the Maya is there. That is, Maya can be deduced only by as what is called a presumption. And Abhava, what will be the nature of Brahman, sans this world. So these are the things. And of course, Pratyaksha is there to experience the Brahman reality or the oneness or the unity of all the world, all the universe. But all these things are there, these pramanas are external. If we have to realize ourselves, if we have to know ourselves, as Yajnavalkya has asked Maitreyi, Vijñātāramare kena vijaniyat, Vijñātāram. He was saying everything once, but this question also he has put it twice. Vijñātāramare kena vijaniyat, Vijñātāramare kena vijaniyat. How will you know the subject? Say, we are the subject, I am the Vishayi. If I have to know myself, am I going to know myself as an object or a subject? If I were to know myself as an object, I am no longer a subject. And if I am a subject, that is in the Ekasminneva Karmani, there cannot be what is called Karma Kartara Aikya. So if I were to be a subject, I cannot be an object. If I were to be an object, I cannot be a subject. So the question of knowing myself, it doesn't arise at all, is not possible. So there is a question, Avachanena Provacha, and what is called Mauna Vyakya, Prakatita Parabrahmatattvam Yuvanam, and all those things. So the concept of Swayam Sambuddha. Swayam Sambuddha is an important concept which is proposed in the non-Vedic religions or Shramanic religions. That is the self-effort. But here in Vedic religions, the importance is through Guru. So Shankara says in the 64th, that is on the Sarvadharma, on the commentary of the Sarvadharma and Paritejya, Chaturveda vidapi, Shadanga vidapi, Asampradaya vidu, Murkhavad upekshaniyaha. That is, if a person is not following the tradition, if he has not taken it up upon himself, that is through the learning it through Guru, then that person, however learned he may be, shall be shunned. We do not know whether Totaka is really a duff or really a great scholar. All these informations about the stories of Shankara, about his Shishya, etc. are from the Shankara Vijaya only, but they are all very later book. So we do not know whether the authors have got direct connection with those people. That may be local tradition also, that may be what is called passed on through history also, through Sravana Parampara. But these stories really give us some information. That is, to be a realized soul, to become a realized soul, there is need not be a scholarship. In fact, scholarship is a pradibandhaka also. So, what is required is Guru Bhakti. Yasya deve parabhaktihi yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite katita hyartaha. That is, all the scholarly ideas which are narrated will become clear only to him who has got a bhakti towards his Guru as well as God. See, there is an interpretation, akatita hyartaha. But the akatita, my teacher used to say, that is Professor Kalyan Sundar Sastri used to say, the interpretation akatita hyartaha need not be there. Katita hyartaha. These ideas will remain at the scholastic level. They will not be what is called internalized. They cannot be taken into us. They cannot be realized. They can be realized. Tasya yete katita hyartaha prakashante. Prakashante is becoming internalized and they become realized only if he has got a bhakti towards his Guru as well as the teacher. That's why Indra, even a person can become Indra only when he performs 100 Aswamedha Yagas. So 100 Aswamedha Yagas, how much of Chittasuddhi it should have given to him? And he takes up the lordship of the God. But even then, he has to go to Brahma to perform Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is service to the teacher. And Veda exclaims, say, Ekasatam Varsham ki Indraha Brahmacharya Muvasa. Veda exclaims, he lived 101 years. The Tamil சொல்றதா வேஷ்டி தோச்சு போட்டுருந்தான் பிரம்மாவுக்கு அப்படின்ட்டு. That is, 101 years he served his teacher, even after becoming Indra, even after becoming the Lord of the gods. That is, the lordship should not go into the head, and that is not a criteria, that is not a thing, that is not an advantage for realization. The realization, as has been presented yesterday by Professor Ramasubramanian, the humility. The humility is required, and then shunning the ego. So that's how Brahmacharya is what is called enjoined upon Indra, and that was not there on Virochana. So in the first 32 years, Virochana has to leave. He could not, though both of them have gone to Brahma together, he could not continue it. So that sort of humility, that sort of service, that service to the teacher, that service to the what is called God, cleanses our mind, and only in the cleaned mind, only in the pure mind, these ideas will shine. That's how the importance is not on studies, but the importance is on sampradaya. And then he says, Veda says, that is the Pramana Raja. Veda is considered to be Pramana Raja, but not to communicate, that is what is Brahman, what is the characteristic of Brahman, etc., but only Siddhantu Nivartakatvat, as has been stated by an earlier teacher. Sankara himself quotes this. It is by one Dravida Acharya who lived before him. So the Pramanas, Neti Neti, this sort of what is called presentation. This sort of presentation is being made in Vedas. That is Nirguna Vidhi, that is what is called Vidhi Mukena and Pratisheda Mukena. And Vidhi Mukena also, they end up in only Pratisheda Mukena. So through Vedas and through Sampradaya alone, this can be learnt. So tam tu Upanishadam Purusham Prichami, and all these ideas, that is Tasete Katita Kyartaha, etc., they communicate that this idea becomes, that is the meaning of the Veda, the meaning of this particular subject. Subject means the knowing subject, that is the individual I. All these things can be known only through Sampradaya, and the importance of Sampradaya is very much emphasized upon. So now it has to come through that particular teacher, particular teaching tradition, particular Vedic tradition, and all those things. So now, at this juncture, now before taking up this tradition, how this Vedic tradition continues. Because why? Since this cannot be presented as the subject, this has to be presented in a different types, different ways. So Sarguna and Nirguna Vakyas are simultaneously juxtaposed, and through the through what is called interpreting, or through just juxtaposing both ideas, their thoughts, ideas, etc., we have to know this. And Veda has got both the statements, Sachi Cheta, Kevalo Nirgunascha, and Taditara Idram Pasyati, Yatra tu Sarvam Atmaiva Bhusyat Tatkena Kampasyet, Yatra Nanyat Pasyati, Nanyat Vijanati, Nishkalam Nishkriyam Santam, all these things. There are Nirguna Vakyas. And Satyakamaha, Satya Sankalpaha, Sarva Vyapi, Sarva Saktaha, Sarva Gandhaha, Sarva Rasaha, and all these Saguna Vakyas are also there. So now there are Saguna Vakyas and Nirguna Vakyas, both of them are there. So why these two Vakyas? Saguna Vakyas and Nirguna Vakyas, why these two Vakyas? Two types of Vakyas. There is a question. Sankara himself raises this question. He has presented his Advaita Vedanta in the first 5 adhikaranas. Normally we say Chatusutri. Actually it is Panchadhikarana Prakriya. There is the first 4 sutras are taken up, and then the 5th sutra, Ikshati Adhikarana, is presented as an Akshepa Sankati. That is whether the Brahman drawn or Brahman arrived at by the Chatusutri is only towards Brahman, or whether Pradhana or some other thing also is possible. So the 5th Adhikarana, that Ikshati Adhikarana, is taken up, and then said nothing else, that Brahman can, what is called, its conclusion will be only in Advaita, that is Vedantic Brahman, and no other concept qualifies for that. So Vedanta has come to an end with these 5 adhikaranas. Sankara himself states, Ataf parasya grantasya kimuttanam. When Vedanta has been stated, it is in the beginning of the Anandamaya adhikarana. So when Vedanta has been completely stated like this, what is the need for taking up further book? Brahmasutra has got 4 adhyayas, each one divided into 4 padas, and totally there are 564 sutras, 191 adhikaranas, 555 sutras, and 191 adhikaranas. So 5 adhikaranas were over. What is the need for the next 186 adhikaranas? That is the question posed by Sankara to himself. And this question involves another thing also. And when we take up, say for example, there are, according to some traditions, there are 20 Mimamsa chapters. The first 12 of Purva Mimamsa, and the 4 of Sankarshana Kanda, and the last 5 of Jnana Kanda. So we know very well, that is Veda has got Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Bhakti Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and all those things. So why not we divide? That is the first 12 adhyayas as Purva Mimamsa, Purva Kanda or Karma Kanda, and the next Sankarshana Kanda for Upasana and all those things are for God and things like that, and the last 4 Kanda purely for Jnana Kanda. Why should there be what is called the Saguna Vakyas and Nirguna Vakyas, or why should Saguna Vakyas be discussed in Vedanta? What is the need for this particular topic? Then, of course, that I will take it up. So now, what happens? This Nirguna Vakyas cannot be understood directly. If you take up Nirguna Vakyas just as a Nirguna Vakya, they will become a subject, and that will contradict Kenopanishad concept of Pratibodha Viditam Madam. Nirguna is not a different, a separate concept. Nirguna, as has been stated, that is the Anuvritti, the what is called the consciousness pervades all the 3 stages and it transcends 2. So it is not consciousness available as the Turiya. It is Turiya in relation to the first 3 stages. So it is not Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and then Turiya. Turiya pervading Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and transcending it too. So Saguna Vakyas are being pervaded by Nirguna Vakyas. or Saguna concept is being pervaded by the Nirguna concept. It is not Saguna concept and Nirguna concept are available in two separate watertight compartments. So Nirguna can be understood, Nirguna can be realized only in terms of Saguna, only along with Saguna, and not, it has to be understood over and above Saguna, not sans Saguna, not without Saguna, not in the absence of Saguna. So Nirguna pervades and it permeates Saguna and does not stand as a separate, different entity. It is the Tamil word, the word for God is Kadavul. Kada means transcending, Ul means immanent. So Nirguna remains transcending and immanent, it does not remain as a distinct, separate entity. So that has to be proved, that has to be presented, and hence Brahmasutra takes up this particular idea of Saguna and Nirguna. In fact, there is more of a Saguna discussion than a Nirguna discussion. Nirguna discussions comes only in few adhikaranas. So many of the adhikaranas concentrate on Saguna alone. So now what happens? There is a question. As has been referred to, there are three padarthas, abhava, sadrisya and jnana. These three are called pratidvandvika padarthas. They can be known only with counter correlatives. When you say abhava, when you say non-existence, it should be non-existence of something in something. That is, without this of something and in something, non-existence cannot be known. Say, when you say somebody, it is not existing. Suddenly, if someone is running in the road, not existing something, then suddenly we may ask, what is not existing, where it is not existing? Because if these two things are not presented, you cannot know. In the same way, similarity also. Similarity also, similar with something in something. That is mukham chandramiva. It is similarity of the moon in the face. Like that. So it is pratidvandvika. That is, they are always must be related to counter correlative. Jnana also like that only. Jnana also always, it is of some jnana. And if that of is not there, it is difficult to understand jnana. The problem is, we cannot have the jnana of jnana. I can say I am jnani, I have got this knowledge, that knowledge, etc. But we do not have an idea of what is pure knowledge. That is a problem. So we cannot have the knowledge. Knowledge is always of something. That being the case, now you want to present Nirguna or Nirvikalpaka or Nirvisesha Jnana. Is such a thing logically and grammatically possible? That is a question. But our counter question is such a thing, that is, as you say, Savikalpaka Jnana or Savisesha Jnana, Saguna we don't add. He has added Nirguna, Nirvisesha, Nirvikalpaka. Our counter question is Savisesha and Savikalpaka only, because Saguna we do admit. So now what happens? Savisesha and Savikalpaka Jnana, is it possible at all? Because that Jnana is the permeating one, is it different? If that Jnana were to be different, we will have an idea of that Jnana of Jnana. Since that is not there, what is that Jnana? So we say Vritti Jnana and Swarupa Jnana, Vrittau Jnanatva Upacharat. Panchapadikahara has clearly stated, Vritti Jnana is only Jada, that Swarupa Jnana reveals Vritti Jnana. So Nirvikalpaka Jnana alone is there, but Nirvikalpaka Jnana, since our mind is not pure, we are not able to know that Nirvikalpaka Jnana, and we know it through Savikalpaka Jnana only. That's why we consider it as a Savikalpaka Jnana. That's why we consider Savikalpaka Jnana as the Jnana. And we end with it. But it is not so. So that is the Advaitin's answer for it. And he says that's also possible. That is Nirvikal, because there are many concepts, many ideas. Say for example, Dharma Dharmi. There are logical discussions are there, Dharma and Dharmi. So now this Brahman is considered to be, you say that Dharmi. If Brahman were to be Dharmi, there should be Dharma. You call it Dharma because it is in a Dharmi, and Dharmi becomes because it has got a Dharma. Then finally when you discuss Dharma and Dharmi, then what it will be? Logically you will not be able to prove the independent existence of Dharma or Dharmi, because Dharma cannot exist without a Dharmi. That is, a quality, a property cannot exist without a matter. And now, a few years back, in 60s, it would have been difficult, but in 2010s, it is not difficult at all. When Higgs boson, the problem of modern scientists also, what constitutes this matter, dark matter, and they are probing into it. So let me not discuss whether Dharmi can be there without Dharma and Dharma can be there without Dharmi. Let them come out with their Higgs boson answer, God particle and all those things. At that time we can take up. But modern science also has grappled with this problem of Dharma and Dharmi. So there is absolutely no problem in our philosophy, in our Indian philosophy, taking up the concept of Dharma and Dharmi, discussing whether dharma and dharmi can exist independently. If they cannot be proved logically that they can exist independently, then they, what is called, lose the status of individuality. Hence, nirvisesha is possible. There should be something. Because all the nisheda must be savaditva. If something is negated, the negation should be there in some idea, some entity, some substratum, not on vacuum. So that savaditva, that is the final avadhi, is considered to be Brahman, and that should be nirvisesha. So nirvisesha is logically possible. This is how later acharyas have ended up. And of course, I will take up only one more example. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is considered to be Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman. And they say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is the characteristic of Brahman. We may ask, Jnanam is the characteristic. How can Jnanam refers to characterized? There is a grammatically Arshaditya Pratyam, Papo Ravana, as they say. Sin incarnate. If Ravana is sin incarnate, we don't say Ravana has done sin. Ravana has done sin means sin becomes lessened. So in order to say that Ravana is sin incarnate, there is a Sanskrit tradition of saying, Papo Ravanaha. Say, for example, suppose if some person is what is called very arrogant. Sorry to use these words, I can use it in Tamil because I am not quite conversant. These words, these ordinary day-to-day words are used in Hindi and other languages. We say fat, kolpu. That is, we don't say that he has got that what is called arrogance in him. Arrogance personified. We don't say arrogant, it is arrogance. I don't know whether English usage is right or not. I am just what is called transposing my Tamil knowledge on English. So it is saying just arrogance instead of saying arrogant, saying arrogance. So that is grammatically in Sanskrit it is possible. In Indian language, in Tamil it is possible. I don't want to say anything on others because without knowing much language we may know, but without knowing the grammatical traditions, I should not immediately quote everything. That too in the Parishadabhyesha Gunagrahani, in the heterogeneous audience coming from all over India and all over the world. Now what happens? Why not we take, because it is Jnana Ghana, why not we take Arsha Adi, that is what is called a specific grammatical rule, that is specific grammatical permission. So Jnana to be Jnani, that is one question. But they say that's not at our hands. That is, it should be, if it is listed, poetic, that is what they say, poetic license. The poetic license is not for the modern poet, it is for the ancient poet. If it is already used, that can be included, that can be what is called counted as one of the sanctioned usage. But when it is not included, it cannot be counted as a sanctioned usage. And up to Patanjali, or even after Patanjali, they have not counted jnana in that particular thing. Hence, jnanam cannot be interpreted as jnani. So, that is one of the counter answers. Okay. Now, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. What does it prove? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. All the four things as Tattvamasi, Samana Adhikarane Prayoga. That is coordinated usage. What is Satyam is Jnanam, what is Jnanam is Anantam. Is there any such thing in this world, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that is simultaneously which is Satyam and Jnanam, or Jnanam and Anantam, or Satyam and Anantam? So, there is no such thing possible. There is no such thing existing, no such thing available. So, what should be there? That is, that which is, that's why Shankaracharya interprets it as Satyam is Anrita Rahitam, that which is not devoid of what is called, that which is not illusory or that which is not mithya, and Jnanam is that which is not jada. So, you can understand because it is only one padartha, that is Brahman alone is in that characteristic of Satyam Jnanam Anantam, no other object is there. So, we cannot have it as an example to understand it. Hence, we have to understand it, Satyam Jnanam Anantam also only in Akhandartha Vida. For example, for presentation at the lower level or to make the student understand things like that, we can present it in ordinary way. Always it is possible. Those things are not rejected, those things are not what is called denied at all. But in a strict interpretational terms, in a strict logical terms, or when you join a debate, the possibility is only to take it as what is called pointing or characterizing Nirvisesha Brahman alone. Not Satyam Jnanam Anantam presents a Savisesha characteristic. That's not possible. Hence, that also proves that Brahman should be Nirvisesha. This is how, and Yato Vacho Nivartante. There is again a great characteristics or great statement. Sankhyatum naiva sakyante guna doshascha sarnginaha anantyat prathamo rasihi abhavadeva paschimaha. You cannot, Bhagavan is considered to be Akhila Heya Pratyanika and Samasta Kalyana Guna. He does not have any of, even an iota of blemish in him. and all the Kalyana Gunas are there. And these Kalyana Gunas cannot be exhausted. There are two things. You cannot exhaust the number of Kalyana Gunas he has, and you cannot even completely comprehend a nature of even one Kalyana Guna. Say, Puranas help us understanding these things. When Gajendra Moksha, when that elephant was what is called grasped by that crocodile, then it is said, Lord, who was along with Lakshmi at that time in the Seshatalpa, he rushed to save that crocodile even with without his upper garment and without his chappal. That is just as we will be rushing to outside. If suddenly some cracker bursting is heard, as we will be rushing from our what is called inside, as South Indians, as we will be like that. So it shows that Vishnu also must be a South Indian. He rushed to what is called to protect what is called that crocodile. He just rushed to protect that crocodile with what is called bare upper torso and without chappal, and Garuda is not able to follow him. He dragged Garuda along with him. Garuda could not follow. Now Lakshmi asked, where are you going? She did not know it. Even if Lakshmi could not, so these are all in the Puranas, and we have to accept the Puranas also. So now what happens? If Lakshmi could not know what God is doing, how can we understand the Kalyana Gunas of Bhagavan? Say, remember, my teacher has written one beautiful verse. That is Sri Sankara Ramanuja Madhvacharya Avataran Natra Yekila Sopanatatim Niramasishata Mukti Saudham Adirodum. All the three teachers have constructed the stairs for us to climb the mansion of Mukti. Not only that, Jiva Buddhyatu Dasoham, Atma Buddhyat Twadamsakaha, Jiva Buddhyat Dasoham, Atma Buddhyat Twadamsakaha, Vastu Tattvam Tvamevaham Tridabhodam Nivodata, like that. That is, we have got an identity with body. As long as we have an identity with body, God and souls are two different things. And not only that, Dasa Dasya Buddhi is there. And without the Dasa Dasya Buddhi, we can never prosper. And Rajahamiti Vadantam, Ghatayantihi Rajanaha Rajahamiti Vadantam. So Shankaracharya himself says, that is, he quotes in one of the adhikaranas, whenever the ordinary person says, Aham Brahmasmi, it cannot be just simply used like upasana. That is what is called to Abhyudayartha upasana, you cannot use it like that. It can be ahangraha upasana. For Abhyudayartha upasanas, this cannot be used. So now what happens? Then the person will perish. He will not be able to prosper further. So that sort of problem is there. So Yato Vacho Nivartante gives the total Kalyana Gunas cannot be comprehended. But Yataha refers only to substantive, it does not refer to adjective. So if Yataha were to be what is called return from God's Kalyana Gunas cannot be comprehended, Yataha cannot be interpreted in terms of Yadiya Kalyana Gunat. So it can only be substantive and it can only be Brahman, and if Brahman cannot be comprehended, it can be, Veda says, it is not we. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. Even Veda says, I am not able to touch him. Because that Brahman is asabdam, asparsam, arupam, avyayam. That is, he is not any of Chatushtayi Sabdanam Pravartik, as they say. Any of the characteristic which what is called make a particular word applicable, those characteristics are not there in Brahman, and I cannot comprehend him by words. I cannot communicate. So words return. Even Vedic words fail to comprehend him and they return. Hence, only if it is Nirvisesha, this Yatovacho Nivartante, etc. will be meaningful, will be really meaningful and need not be interpreted metaphorically. Hence, these words also prove that Brahman is Nirguna, Nirvisesha and Nirvikalpaka. And of course, there are Nirguna and Saguna Vakyas. Of course, Saguna Vakyas can be interpreted in terms of Nirguna Vakya, and Nirguna Vakya can be interpreted in terms of Saguna Vakya, etc. But we say Nirguna Vakyas cannot always be interpreted in terms of Saguna Vakya. So the Nirguna Vakyas are there to prove that Brahman is Nirguna, and that idea is presented in what is called the Sthanatop Yubhelingam. So that particular adhikarana is there very much. I am not going into the adhikaranas in detail. That will take a little time and even some few minutes available for me. I have to go into Saguna Brahman, so I am not divulging into, but it is suffice to say, understand that that particular adhikarana in Badarayana's Brahmasutra prove that the Nirguna Vakyas are there to prove that the Nirguna characteristic, and it is not just Saguna alone. So as I have said, why? so Upasana Vakyas, why Brahmasutra should take up Upasana Vakyas also. Unless we understand Saguna Vakyas, Upasana Vakyas cannot be understood. That is, Nirguna Vakyas cannot be understood. So in order to make Nirguna Vakyas meaningful and understandable, Saguna Vakyas and Saguna Upasana and Saguna discussions are also presented in Upanishad, and twice, in 3 places, Shankara says, Dvirupimhi Brahma Avagamyate. In fact, in the later Arambana adhikarana and Karya adhikarana, Shankara raises this question. Kim Dve Brahmani? You are an Advaitin. You say Brahman alone, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Raparaha, nothing else exists apart from Brahman. That being so, you say that there are 2 Brahmans. Kim Dve Brahmani? Are there 2 Brahmans? Shankara says, why I should be afraid? Badham, yes. His answer is yes, an emphatic yes, not simple yes. Say Satyamit in Vedic commentaries, etc., they use the word Satyam. Satyamit Ardhangikare, they say half acceptance of opponent's view. So when you say Kim Dve Brahmani, had Shankara would have stated Satyam, it means half acceptance. That is not full mind acceptance. Hence he wants to say, note Satyam. Badham, yes, I accept there are 2 Brahmans. Dve Yeva Brahmani. Not only he says, not only Badham, Dve Yeva Brahmani. Yes, 2 Brahman or 2 are there. And Yeva, that emphasize, is added to Dve. Say Dve Yeva Brahmani. And Dirupamhi Brahma Avagamyate in Anandamaya adhikarana. So in all these places, Shankara has stated there are 2 Brahmans and it does not affect us. Accepting Saguna Brahma in no way deviates Advaitin from the Nirguna concept or Advaitic concept. See, Advaita is generally interpreted. Advaita is not 2. Normally, they pose one question. All these things you might have known it. Whether without a second. And have you seen the second or not? Have you known the second or not? If you have known the second, you cannot deny it. If you have not known it, you cannot deny it. As has been said, that if you do not know Ishvara, how can you say, if I do not know Ishvara, how can I deny I am not an Ishvara? If Devadatta is not known, neither his existence nor his absence be affirmed. So unless you must have the knowledge. So if the knowledge of the second is not there, how will you deny the second? So either way, if the knowledge is there or if the knowledge is not there, you cannot deny it. But we do not say it is one without a second, undifferentiated. Advaita is not just without a second, but it is undifferentiated. Dvidha yitam dvitam dvitasya bhavaha dvaitam na vidyate dvaitam yasmin. That which is not differentiated into second. A rope is differentiated into a serpent, but that which is not differentiated. So I have really made an Advaitic lecture by bringing rope and serpent. So that which is not differentiated is called Advaita. So in this way we present Advaita. So accepting Saguna, not only accepting Saguna, accepting any amount of Saguna Brahman does not deviate us from our Nirguna Kevala Advaita concept. And Shankara says, Katichana Upasanani in Anandamaya adhikarana, Katichana Upasanani, Abhyudayarthani, Kratichana Kramamuktirthani, Katichana Amushmika Palarthani. There are Upasanas which the Kari Reshti Putraka Meshi etc., which are there for us to get some our knowledge here. And there are some other what is called upasanas which will give us Brahmaloka, and from there Brahmana Sagate Sarve Samprapte. That is, along with Brahman we can studying along with Brahman also presented in Kathopanishad, where that is Swapna Sadrisa and direct knowledge and all those things, where we will be studying directly at the feet like Indra and Virochana, directly at the feet of Brahman to study Vedanta and get the knowledge. And some of them are to get Swarga and all those things. So this sort of knowledge also is there. And Brahmasutras are to discriminate between Jneya Brahman and Upasya Brahman. So Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman, this were. And whether Shankara would have what is called rejected Saguna Brahman. Shankara would not have rejected Saguna Brahman at all. In fact, Panchapadika, that is a commentary of Brahmasutra, first discussion is, Shankara starts Brahmasutra, Yushmadasmat Pratyaya Gochariyoho, directly he starts. There is no Mangalacharana done. So without Mangalacharana, is the book taken fit for studying? Is it, say, Mangalacharana, why Mangalacharana is done? Sishya Siksha. So if there is no Mangalacharana, proper Sishya Siksha would not be there. So can we take up this particular book? Will it not be deviant from the tradition which Shankara upholds? Then he says, Mangalacharana can be done Grantataha, Grantato Bhakihi, and when he is criticizing something, without affirming that he could not criticize it, and he has affirmed it in his mind, and hence Mangalacharana has been done. And it is not the question whether Mangalacharana has been done or not. The final statement, Tasmad, Agranihi Sishtachara Paripalane Bhagavan Bhashyakaraha. He is the leader in maintaining the tradition. Nowhere does Shankara deviate, and not only that, Agrani, Agram Neti, he leads everyone to follow the tradition. That's how Panchapadikahara has presented Shankaracharya as the leader of maintaining the tradition, and Mangalacharana and God worship, etc. has been maintained by Shankara, and not only that, but for Shankara. Shankara was the Saguna Brahman, that is, he is accommodating. Just now he said Shankara has accommodated all the Saguna Brahman in his Nirguna scheme of things, and that's why the tradition upholds him as Shanmata Pratishthapanacharya. Before Shankara, all the Agamas had different traditions, they were contradicting each other, and they had not only that quarreling, but after Shankara, before Shankara it was Sanatana Dharma, after Shankara, not only Chardham Yatra, etc., he organized the Sanatana Dharma into what we call it modern Hinduism. He might not have used the word modern Hinduism by organizing Shanmata Pratishtapana. Say Shanmata Pratishtapana is not simply organizing what is called religions. Anybody can participate in any of the agamas, in any of the agama pujas, in any of the, what is called temples. That is, the tolerant present modern Catholic attitude has been developed by Shankara, that he alone could develop it. None else could develop it. And only the people coming in the tradition of Shankara, that is Appayi Dikshita and Vachaspati Mishra, they alone can become real Sarvatantra Swatantras. Sarvatantra Swatantra is not mastering all the sciences, but presenting the sciences as the followers of that subject would accept it. So Vachaspati Mishra's Tatparya Tika becomes one of the Chaturgranthis of Nayayikas. Like that. So, Appayi Dikshita also has presented his Chaturmata Samarasya. In this way, Shankara and his followers have presented a beautiful what is called ideas and the present day Hinduism, etc. And the topic of the present seminar is Contribution of Advaita Vedanta to Humanity. And what else you require, that too especially when the present day modern discourse is on tolerance and intolerance, what else we what is called require than developing, than inculcating a tolerant attitude. Shankara, by his philosophy, by his what is called contribution to religion, developed, inculcated this tolerant attitude in the minds of us, and that is the greatest contribution of Shankara to humanity. With these words, I hope I have completed my lecture in time. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
So the key point our learned speaker has presented is that the Nirguna aspect of Brahman includes the Saguna aspect also. There is no contradictions. In fact, the Gaudapada Acharya in his Karika mentions, Te parasparam viridhyante asmin taihi na viridhyate. Actually, there is no contradiction here. As human beings, our knowledge is limited to time-space concept. That which is beyond time, that which is beyond space, something we cannot conceive at all. The Nirguna aspect, something which is not qualified, is something which is the human mind cannot understand. So I usually say this, the unqualified aspect, the Nirguna aspect, doesn't contradict the Saguna, as you rightly said. And we give a usual example, a common example. There is a greater truth which is experienced, and it subsumes in itself all lower truths. For example, the sun rises in the east is true. Nobody can deny that. Number of poets have beautifully spoken about the rising sun. People go and see the rising sun in the eastern seashores. The sun rises in the east is true. It is valid also. It is an empirical truth also. The sun never rises nor sets is also equally true. We cannot deny that. So the sun never rises nor sets doesn't really contradict the statement, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Likewise, the the Saguna and Nirguna upasanas, or the Saguna upasana and Nirguna aspect of Brahman, they are not really contradictory to each other. They are truth at absolute level and the truth at the relative level. The absolute truth encompasses all the relative truth. And our scholarly speaker has very rightly pointed out that. So I'm very happy that you have heard him. And with these few words, I thank once again for the organizers for having invited me. And I feel really happy to be here. So in fact, I want to finish it with humor actually. When Swami Sharadananda and Advaitamrtam requested me to come to participate in this seminar, I said it is not possible for me, I'm time concerned. I don't have time, I can't come. Then they keep on insisting me. Then I thought, all right, I will go and hear some learned speakers. They will speak about Vedanta. So I can hear something. So that was motivated me. Few years before, once I went to Ananda Ashram. So Ananda Ashram, Kanjangad, the Papa Ramdas Ashram. There I used to go earlier also. And when Swami Sachidanand Ji used to be there, I used to go there, and he will ask me to speak. Then after his passing away, for the first Punyatithi Aradhana, they asked me to go there, and then I went there. And we had a satsang. After the satsang, we were meeting inside. And someone asked me, Swami, what is the Swadhyayana going on? What subject you are teaching? What book you are studying? What you are sharing with? Then I said, I don't do any Swadhyayana. My Swadhyaya is more of Income Tax Act, Societies Act, trust rules. That is what I am looking for. So and everybody has a heart content of love, actually. So now I came here just to listen to all the learned speakers. So I'm very happy to be here, and I thank once again all the organizers. This was very beautifully organized and very scholarly lectures. And you also brought together all the scholars. So I thank everybody once again. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you. May I now request Swami Padmanabhananda to kindly honor the speaker of the day, Sri Srinivasan. Thank you, Swamiji. May I now call upon Swami Ramakrishnananji, Acharya Chenmai International Foundation, to kindly honor Swami Padmanabhananda. Thank you, Swamiji.